So in this video, I'm going to cover my number one matched betting strategy. And as you can probably tell from the title of this video, that's going to involve betting on every horse within a horse race. And once that race finishes, locking in a guaranteed profit. But I can hear you right now, surely it can't be that simple. Surely I can't just load up Bet365, stick 10 quid on every runner in the race and make a profit once that race has concluded. Well, of course, unfortunately, it isn't quite that simple, or literally everybody would be using this betting strategy. But the good news is it really isn't that hard to accomplish either, and I use this betting strategy various times throughout the year, most commonly at high profile horse racing meetings at places like Cheltenham, the Grand National Festival, the Guineas Festival, Royal Ascot, and the list goes on throughout the summer. So first up, I'm going to explain a few things. So we're just looking at Betfair here, and this is the exchange. Now, if we quickly compare the exchange's prices, which are listed here, with the prices that are being offered out by Sky Bet, which is here, we can see that the prices available on Betfair are much better than the prices that are being offered by Sky. Now, of course, this is nothing groundbreaking. Everybody knows that bookmakers offer out rubbish prices which don't represent value. That's their model. That's what they've done for many, many years. But if we were to just back every runner on the exchange using a £10 stake by clicking back all, and we'll just use a £10 stake, like I said, on each runner, you can see that we wouldn't necessarily guarantee a profit. If we look at the what if columns here, we can see if the outsiders won the race, we'd make a profit. But if some of the shorter price runners ended up winning, which are these runners here, we would actually lose money. So this is not a risk-free position, and we're risking some of our own money if we were to do this. And of course, as we just touched on, Betfair's prices are way better than the prices that are offered out by Sky. So if we were to just repeat what we've done here over on Sky Bet, we'd just have the same setup, but it would just look that little bit worse, and we'd just be taking on that bit more risk. So ultimately, the goal of my betting strategy is to back every horse in a race using a bookmaker, and once that race is finished, lock in a guaranteed profit regardless of whoever goes on to win. So the obvious question then becomes, well, how on earth is this going to work? How are we going to be able to back every horse in a race with a bookmaker and earn a guaranteed profit once that race finishes? Now, as with pretty much everything in match betting, the way we're going to be able to achieve this is by using a bookmaker's bonus. The bonus we're going to be taking advantage of using this betting strategy is extra places. So instead of using a £200 stake betting on Galopin de Champs to win the Gold Cup, we can select each way bet, doubling our stake to 400 quid and splitting our bet into two different sections. Section 1, £200 on the horse to win the race, and Section 2, the other £200 on the horse to land in a place position, which is specified by the bookmaker. So in the example that I'm showing you on screen, you can see that is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, with the bookmaker paying out a fifth of the back price for the runner, which in my case for the favourite is 2.5. So basically this presents a really good opportunity if you're looking to use this strategy and make a guaranteed profit regardless of whichever horse wins the race and regardless of whichever other horses land in the places. And in this video I'm going to walk you through an example of me using one of my favourite betting strategies to hopefully lock in a profit. So first up, I entered all of the runners participating in the race and the back prices of each of those runners into the spreadsheet that I've developed specifically for this betting strategy. That spreadsheet then quickly works out the place prices for each runner based on the fractional terms the bookmaker is paying out for their places. In this case, it's 1/5. And I inform my spreadsheet of the number of places that the bookmaker is paying out on in the race. That is 8 places. And after doing that, my spreadsheet informs me of these two numbers: the lowest potential profit I can make, and on the flip side of that, the highest potential profit that I can lock in as well. So basically, in a nutshell, what this means is if I back each and every horse in the race, each way, using the specific stake for each runner that my spreadsheet has provided me, when it's all said and done and once this race is finished, I'll get my overall investment back, that being the total amount of each way stakes that I've used on the race, plus a profit on top of that number, somewhere between these two numbers here. So for me personally, I'd be comfortable going as high as a £3,000 plus total stake on this race, with it being a high quality race. But unfortunately, I ran into a few problems on the accounts that I was using for the Cheltenham Festival. Sky Bet had decided to limit the maximum back stakes that they were willing to let me bet on each runner. Now, if you're not familiar with this kind of thing, it is kind of like an open secret within the betting industry. And unfortunately, it does happen to long-term winning punters. So typically when you're match betting, which is effectively arbitrage using the bookmakers' bonuses as a way of making a profit, a guaranteed profit, what usually happens is your free bets will be confiscated, or if you're using Bet365 two-up offer and you've got an edge there, they'll confiscate the two-up offer. And basically, any advantage you've got and anything that's allowing you to make a profit month after month after month, whatever you're using to be able to achieve that, whether it be the free bets, a two-up offer, whatever it is, that will be confiscated from you because bookmakers don't want you to win. But although they clearly are, extra places aren't really considered a bonus from the bookmakers. This is kind of because they've been engraved into everyday betting culture for many, many years. So what starts to happen when you start beating the bookmakers by using extra places is you typically run into state restrictions like I'm seeing here. And unfortunately, the state restrictions have landed right in time for Cheltenham, which obviously is really annoying and really unlucky, I know. So I had to spend some time working out exactly how much money Sky were willing to lay me so that I could bet at the absolute maximum and pull out every drop of profit that I could. And it turned out, on this race, I could get on for about 1,500 quid total. So this means that my minimum and my maximum profit are now listed right here. Now it is important to note I have turned over a lot of money on these accounts and I've made a decent profit in return as well. So when you're first starting out doing this strategy, or maybe you've got a fresh account to run the strategy on, you're pretty much going to be able to use whatever stake you want. And if you do want to get your hands on my spreadsheet that I've developed specifically for this betting strategy and make a guaranteed profit regardless of which horse wins the race and regardless of whichever other horses land in the place positions, you can download my spreadsheet from my Patreon page, and the link to do so is available down below in the description of this video. So I started to plough my way through backing each runner, both win and each way, using the recommended stake and checking them off the list one by one. So the fundamentals of this betting strategy are really, really basic. Effectively, all you've got to do is back every horse in the race each way by copying a number from a spreadsheet for the stake, and once that's done, you're going to have the advantage over the bookmaker. Now this is a really unbelievably easy betting strategy to do. And you might be asking yourself, well, exactly how does this betting strategy even work? Well, to give a basic overview, the bookmaker offers out prices on each runner in the race, obviously, and those prices and those odds are a representation of probability. So when you convert all those odds into probability and tally up all those probabilities, you're left with an overround figure. You can see the book value here is 147%. So that additional 47% on top of the 100% is the bookmaker's theoretical value margin. The edge actually comes with the place book. The place book, just like the win book, has an overround as well. The same concept is at play. All of the place odds converted to implied probability and then tallied together. In this case, 542.36%. So what you're looking for when you're using this betting strategy is a combination of the bookmaker's margin on the win book being overridden by your margin on the place book. Now this can happen in a few different ways depending on the type of race that you're doing this on, and if you're going to be downloading my spreadsheet from my Patreon page and using this betting strategy yourself, probably the best place to look to start doing this strategy will be on races similar to the one that I'm showing you in this video. Large field races, typically handicaps almost exclusively to high quality races that you'll find on Saturday, and certainly through high profile meetings which run through midweek as well, where the bookmaker is offering out considerably more places than they would do under normal circumstances. Now on different setups like the Gold Cup for example, this is a shorter field race, so the bookmaker was obviously offering out less places, but they were being more enticing with the win book. So you're looking for the perfect storm, the perfect balance between the two. And every now and again, everything lines up perfectly and you can use this strategy and lock in a guaranteed profit regardless of whoever wins the race. And just remember when you are using this strategy, a big part of your edge and a big part of your advantage is to just be patient. Quite a lot of the time you'll only get an opportunity to lock in a guaranteed profit once, maybe twice a month, and sometimes you can even go a full month without a race like this popping up, and then all of a sudden in the next month you'll get a load of opportunities coming at you sequentially in a very quick succession. So it is all about being patient when you're running this strategy and only striking when the advantage is truly there. So back to the race. I'd just about finished working my way through the field, backing every runner, both win and each way by using the stakes provided by the spreadsheet. And after getting to the conclusion of doing this, my ending minimum and maximum profit are displayed here. And as you can see, I could hit a small loss in the worst case scenario, which is unlikely to occur. Now, all in all, this took me about 1 hour to cover the field, which is typical for a race with about this many runners. And the reason for that is the book does move around a little bit as you're going through this process. So some runners will come in with their prices, some runners will drift out as a result of that, and the book will wobble around a little bit. It won't be overly stressful, and it's very much manageable if you are running this strategy. And in shorter fields, I've actually been able to cover the whole field and implement this strategy in as quick as 20 minutes. So it just depends on the race that you're looking at and the amount of runners and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, the race goes in play, and hopefully we get one of the more ideal runners winning the race, which will yield me the most amount of profit. Now, these kind of races are my favourite to target when I'm using this strategy. It being high quality competitive handicap, all the prices are very similar to each other, and no one runner is hogging up a large chunk of the book, which makes this setup more ideal for each way deduction. And just on a quick side note, something I found a little bit amusing was the fact that ITV actually openly published the over-own figure on an on-screen graphic that they had, which is more evidence to support that potentially people will be betting using the old-fashioned passé technique of using bookmakers and sports books for many, many years to come. You know, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope this isn't the case, and I hope people start realising that bookmakers are just a complete rip-off. They offer really bad prices, and they start heading over to the betting exchange. But when you see things like this, it really doesn't fill you with confidence, does it? So as the race started to draw to a dramatic conclusion, it was clear that it had become a toss-up between Favois and Pied Piper. So of course, I was rooting for the runner which had the largest back price to win. As with this betting strategy and the way I run this strategy, the runner which wins the race dictates how large or how small your ROI is going to be. So the winner of the race ended up being Favois, if that's how you pronounce it, which was a 28-1 shot. So I knew that this was a pretty good horse for me to win the race, and I knew it would yield me a decent return on the overall stake that I use, which of course is really, really good. But if you've done these each way Dutches yourself and you've used this betting strategy yourself, you'll know that it takes absolutely ages for the official results to be in, specifically in big horse races with a large field like this. But eventually, after absolutely ages, the official results were indeed in. And all I needed to do now was to check those official results online and enter the actual runners' positions, finishing positions into this section of my spreadsheet right here. So that literally took me seconds to do, and you can see my overall profit is displayed right here, which is about £197. Not bad for about 1 hour's work. And just to break it down a little bit clearer for you, I've actually developed this section of the spreadsheet right here, which shows the amount of investment you've used on this race. In my case, is £1,538. And just below that, the total return from the bookmaker, which for me was £1,735. And basically, the difference between those two numbers is your profit. And for me, in this race, was £197. So as I said, this is a really, really good betting strategy. And in my opinion, it's probably the best match betting strategy that is out there. Again, if you want to start using this strategy yourself and download the spreadsheet, the link to do so is down below in the description of this video. You can download it from my Patreon. And I've used this strategy many, many times now, all throughout the year. And if you do want to check out a really, really good example of it where I yield a huge profit, click the video on screen now, and that'll give you an amazing walkthrough of how beneficial this strategy can truly be.